with that, I'm long-winded, so we better get started. You know, when I first got started on this thing, let me just say, I never had any interest in Native American anything. I never had any interest in really our local history until I was living below Spanish Hill and found a word out on the web. And it was the word Karantuan. Never heard it, never saw it. I only read it on the internet, so I called it Karantuan. And so I made a couple phone calls that actually changed my life. The first was to Marty Borko, a good friend of mine. And I said, Marty, you're president of the Karantuan Greenway. Can you tell me what the story is about Karantuan and Spanish Hill? And he said, oh no. He said, you know what, everybody's arguing about it. I don't know what's the truth. I tried to figure it out, and you know, to tell you the truth, I quit. We're just using the word. That's it. So then the next call that I made was the Tioga Point Museum, and please understand it was under different management back then, okay? Called them up and I said the same thing. Can you tell me about Spanish Hill and Karantuan? This is what I got. There are no giant skeletons and it's not Karantuan. Click. I was hooked. And I have been ever since. It really is a winding layer of pitfalls and mistakes and myths and so many things. And I've told this story in bits and pieces in many presentations over time. And to tell you the truth, that's all I can do tonight, but I'll do my best. My hope is to tell it in a different way than I ever have before, giving you other pieces that you possibly have never seen before. This is it. This is the hill. And, you know, it's touching to me that in 1881, it was representative, you know, of our area. It was our icon. It was our citadel. It represented our community. And you can see Waverly, New York, 1881. If you look up in the corner there, you see this, Spanish Hill. If you go to our post office in Waverly, what do you see? A mural with Native Americans, early settlers, and in the background, casting a shadow over all that's occurring, Spanish Hill. And I think over thousands of years, that was ingrained in our community. The people that lived here, the people that died here, people that fought here. And it's going to be here long after we are, again, as well. This is a picture from 1905. A lot of people don't realize that there weren't any trees on the top for a very long time, and they really weren't allowed to grow up there until like the last 100 years. Here's another postcard. You don't believe how many postcards there are of Spanish Hill. It was our thing. This is a picture that I had sent to me years ago. I do have a website, SpanishHill.com. And a gentleman who moved out to California found my site, which this happens all the time, and they send me something nostalgic, a story, a picture, or whatever. And I love this picture because it gives you that sense of what's up there that you don't normally see. Unless you were lucky enough when you were a child to go up there and play, right? So what I'm going to do tonight is something that I don't normally do. I have the habit of telling a story from my perspective, from the 2 phone calls all the way through what I did and what I learned. And what I want to do this time instead is I'm going to tell you all the questions, the popular questions that people have asked me over the years, and I'm going to try to give you the best answers that I have, okay? So, one of the common questions, what is Spanish Hill? Was it man-made? And as you'll see here, my life's a cartoon. So, the truth of the matter is, it's a glacial moraine. It wasn't man-made. And what's inside that hill is rock. It's lots and lots of rock. So that when the glaciers came through, the waters rushed around, it stayed when everything else washed away. And that's why it looks the way it does today. And this is how it looks today. Notice, no trespassing. And this, of course, is my favorite shot. It gives you that flat top rising out of the ground look. This is looking from the south as you'd be driving up from 220 upon it. And Kmart would be over on this side, over here. Why was it called Spanish Hill? Another common question. Well, you know, there are some people out there that believe the Spanish were there, that they put some sort of winter fort up there fighting against the Indians. All we really know is that the first settlers here referred to it as Hispan or Espan. And there were stories that the Indians claimed that the Great Spirit who lived up there had a thunderous voice who put holes in anyone that came upon them. And a lot of people took that to believe that there was probably a cannon up there putting those holes in somebody with a thunderous voice. I can tell you by 1795, this guy was coming up from Asylum up the Chemung River, come up the Susquehanna, cut over on the Chemung, and he said this: "Near the confines of Pennsylvania, a mountain rises from the bank of the river Tioga in the shape of a sugar loaf, upon which are seen the remains of some entrenchments. These the inhabitants called the Spanish ramparts." So for 200 years at least, this place has been known as Spanish Hill.